If your mind's running circles again, second guessing every word you said, take a breath, reset your track. You don't need to hold yourself back. Stop overthinking, start connecting. Confidence maxing.
All right, welcome to the show. It is a new week. How are you doing out there? How you feeling? Welcome to another episode of Confidence Maxing Live. Today, what we're going to be talking about is fear, action, IRL-Maxxing, and more. So, our very first item that we're going to take a peek at, this is actually a clip of Jocko Willink on the Modern Wisdom podcast, and I'm going to play it to you, play it for you, and talk to you about it. And it is on the topic of fear and taking action.
Spent a good bit of your career in situations that would cause most people to feel a ton of fear. I think that fear is related to this confidence, conviction in my decisions. What have you learned about how to deal with and overcome fear?
Go. Yep. It's you when all that fear that's in your head, all the what ifs and the scenarios that you create inside your own mind that are way worse than anything that is actually going to happen, they all disappear when you go. So just take action and start moving forward. That is the moment that can last a million years, is waiting to go. And I found I'm pretty good at it now, where, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And I'm going, and then that's it. And once you go, driving, even, speaking of being in combat, if we were driving to a target and so you're going to go hit a target somewhere, and driving to the target, the closer you get, you're thinking about all the things that go wrong, all the bad things that are going to happen, all this stuff. When one of my guys gets wounded, what if they have IEDs in the yard? Like, there's a bunch of things going through your mind. Once you stop, get out of the vehicle, all those things go away. Yep.
Yeah. So Jocko, in true Jocko fashion, one-word answers are his jam. So I like what he says here quite a bit when he talks about. Well, he's really talking about the dissipation of fear, because what I'm getting from this is it's very easy, if you are thinking about doing something, to sort of hamstring yourself and think about all the potential things that might go wrong, or all the different options that are available to you. Especially if you haven't started something, like, oh, well, I could do this, I could do that. I could do an infinite multitude of different things. And the reality is that just kind of makes things more difficult for you, because the more, well, it's the old parable of the donkey between two bales of hay, and not knowing which bale to go to, right? You really just have to commit and take action. And I think what people don't realize as much is, turn on my light there. I think what people don't realize as much is like, most decisions are reversible. Not all decisions, obviously, but a large amount of decisions are reversible. So you can start a bunch of different things. You can take a lot of rapid action, see how things are going, and then readjust and recalibrate and nudge the trajectory one way or another. But that only comes after you start. And the only way to feel a sense of momentum in anything, any skill that you're learning, or any project that you're doing, is to start and take some action, feel good about the action that you've taken, and then the C word, your what? Your confidence starts to increase the more action you take, because over time, with skills plus reps plus time, You end up getting better at that thing, and you feel good about it. And so that makes it more likely that you want to continue doing that thing. And if there's some markers of success, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel good about doing that thing. So it all creates a virtuous cycle. Jocko has obviously a lot. He's kind of known for the G words. Good. He has a very famous video where he talks about when things happen and they don't go your way. Good. Because now I get to sort of embrace that and take action on it and then overcome it. So I think that's a good way to start off Monday morning, which is look, don't mistake hesitation and fear. Don't mistake that for action. Like, you could be taking action, and then the fear will dissipate because you took action. All right, our next item today. This is a quote I ran across by Alex Hormozy. Seeing a lot of him on the show. His quote is, "If you don't achieve your goals, you'll feel bad that you didn't achieve them. If you do achieve your goals, you'll feel bad achieving them didn't make you feel good." And this directly goes back to the harsh truth that we talked about. I believe it was late last week. We talked about how the thing that you hope makes you happy, guess what? It's if you really want that thing to make you happy, it's probably, you're not gonna just automatically change. I'll pull it up here, get it right. Harsh truth of life: you'll be the same person you are now when you finally get the thing that you hope makes you happy. And this goes right in line with Alex Hormozy's the second line of his post here. If you do achieve your goals, you'll feel bad achieving them didn't make you feel good. So I think the lesson to take from that is simply feeling good starts with you internally, right? Do the things that are fulfilling to you. As Scott Adams famously said, chase meaning. Chasing meaning is a great life strategy because it kind of ticks all the boxes of if you're chasing meaning, you're probably doing something most likely not selfish. You're probably doing something that benefits your community, your family, your tribe of people, or you're trying to make the biggest positive impact on the world at large. And so that helps you derive a lot of meaning. And I think it's a good way to sidestep the trap of, when I achieve goal, then I will feel emotion, right? If we seek a particular emotional outcome because we finally achieved whatever the goal is, talk to any successful person and they will tell you that that's not true. Just that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. So good. Our next item here. This is from Stanford. Stanford paid 35,000 people to quit Facebook and Instagram for 6 weeks. According to them, depression dropped, anxiety dropped, happiness went up, and women under 25 on Instagram saw the biggest gains. And I think what's interesting about this, it aligns pretty well with what I talk about in the introduction of my book, Algorithmic Vampires. And so when it comes to when it comes to these sites that, you know, are by and large free, right? Like you don't have to pay to be on Instagram. You don't have to pay to be on Facebook. The old saying is that if it's free, you are the product, right? And so how I think about it is your time is their money. More views, more active users, mean more advertisers, that they get a cut of that advertising money. They, you know, I don't know what they're doing with the data, but there's probably some avenues for making money with said data. And so as soon as I, hear me out here, I wouldn't say I'm perfect by any means, but I decided in 2015, like probably at like the height of, you know, Facebook as a concept, I unfollowed everything, just every single thing. And when you would go to Facebook on my profile, on my feed or whatever they call it, there would just be nothing there. And I think it would actually give you an error message. And I remember what's kind of interesting, granted this is 10 years ago, but when I was going through and I was unfollowing everything, what was really fascinating was I would have to like manually unfollow like individual people and pages and stuff. And after a big round of doing that, you know, say I would unfollow 10, 20, 30 things, the page would act like I had done all I could do, and it would just kind of show me an empty page. And then when you would reload it, more stuff would come on that I, in fact, had not unfollowed yet. And so I always thought that was kind of interesting because I probably wasn't the only person doing that. So I still wanted access to like DMs and stuff like that, but I didn't want the distraction of just scrolling. And so I've done that for 10 years. I would say happiness level increased for sure. I don't know how much trade-off it is, but it is a trade-off. Like you, in a way, you're surprised when you learn what's going on with people because you don't sort of passively follow them, but you do kind of lose touch with the people that it's kind of like the people you weren't reaching out to anyway. So I'm not sure how big of a tragedy that is, but it's, it is a legitimate trade-off. But when it comes to an average person and the billions upon billions of dollars poured into just the sort of the behavioral, I'm not sure what the right word is, but like the behavioral hijacking, you might say, for the people that designed not only these social media sites, but the algorithm that goes into them, the swiping down to refresh the feed, it's slot machine mechanics. Of course people would get happier. Of course people would get happier if they traded cheap dopamine for, I don't know what these people were doing in lieu of being on these two social networks. But I could only see positives from it because algorithmic vampires, your time is their money, and your energy is what they sip on to live, right? So where in your life, I go through bouts where I'll remove everything from my phone. It might be time for me to do another cleanse, so to speak. What is interesting, what I will say is, like, I do have Instagram on my phone, and it's probably, I'll be candid with you, it's probably about time for me to take it back off. But for a while, like a few years, I didn't have it on my phone. I only had it on, I think, my iPad or maybe just the computer. And that's a really good that's a really good way to do it, I think. I was on a space, I think it was last month, and we were talking about the kind of the good old days of circa 2004, 2005, 2006, something like that. How you had to go to a computer to check anything, right? Because phones back then, but pre iPhone, didn't have browsers that were anything approaching being good. They were pretty awful and pretty unusable, really. But it was all we had. So you really just didn't want to do anything on your phone, pretty much. And so you would have to go home to go check the Facebook. I'm not convinced that social networks are even a good thing at all in any form, but they're here. And so instead of wishing for a different reality, I think all we can really do is simply say to ourselves, like, hey, I won't partake in the same. I won't partake in the way that these social networks want me to partake, and it's pretty easy to imagine that the way they want you to partake is constantly and all the time. Like, imagine the Matrix and Neo's just hooked up to Instagram Reels or hooked up to whatever algorithm, right? Like, that's probably the maximum that they want you on their networks. And so anything you can do to thwart that, probably a good thing, right? And so you can have that. If you're of a certain age, you remember what it was like in 2005. If you're younger, then you can simulate that 2005 experience and take everything off your phone and only use it on the computer. And I think it'd be worth a 2-week trial, right? Because you will probably develop a little healthier relationship with these multi-billion-dollar algorithms that, I'll be perfectly honest, like, your psyche, my psyche, I don't know that it stands much of a chance against weapons grade algorithms and attention vampires that are trying to keep you locked in as much as possible. So that's that story. In the vein of getting offline in a sense and doing something useful, I think it falls under chasing meaning. I think it falls under one of the chapters in my book where I talk about IRL-Maxxing. Chapter 6, if you're reading along at home, IRL-Maxxing. This is... I've had Nick Gray on my podcast a couple times. He's a good dude. Has an excellent book called The 2-Hour Cocktail Party that you should check out on hosting small events. And a really excellent book, really detailed, really step-by-step. The first time I had Nick on my podcast, we talked about his book. The second time, we talked about just the general concept of IRL-Maxxing and what he calls the IRL surface area. And Nick's actually featured in chapter 6 in my book. But I ran across this post where Nick hosted a Claude Code friends group in Austin. And they just meet up and they kind of have a co-working session talking about what things they're using, basically their vibe coding tool of choice, probably a lot of Claude. But what I like about it is he gives instructions here. If you want to do this yourself, he says, pick a day 1 to 2 weeks in advance. Text a bunch of your friends a message like this. Hey, I want to host a coworker hang where we all share tips and tricks for using AI and what we're doing. I want it to be on this day at this time. If I host it, would you come? And get at least 3 people to say yes. Everyone brings your laptops. And that's right out of his book, where you're texting a core group you're just kind of testing the waters, right? You're going with the people who have the highest likelihood to say yes, or just people that are interested, people that are interested in whatever topic, right? It could be Claude Code. It could be, maybe you're a musician and you want to get some friends together to play the banjo and the jug or whatever it is that you see on old-timey cartoons. And you're just testing the waters, and you're saying, hey, I'd like to do it here. I'd like to do it at this time. Would you be interested in this? And then everyone meets up. And as you can see here, got a nice little picture. Everyone there is working away, happy, and building something. I don't know what these folks are building, but I guarantee you that there's a high likelihood that these people are building something that's meaningful to them. Even if it could just be an app that's personalized to you, that's going to help you, that you might end up sharing with a couple of friends. That's still meaning. And I think the higher percentage of meaning you can have in your life with the projects that you take on, or the people that you're hanging out with, that you're spending time with, I think that's a recipe for having a good life, and a more rich life, and something where, like, my hunch is that when we're all 80 and we look back, we aren't gonna wish that we looked at more Instagram reels. We aren't gonna wish that we refreshed our algorithms more. I highly doubt that. I think we're probably gonna look back and say, I'm really happy about the time I spent with other people. And, maybe in some cases I wish I'd spent more time with other people. That's my opinion. Maybe that resonates with you as well. So that is about all I have for you today. Again, I'm doing an experiment. This is week 3 of the experiment, where I am doing a live stream every morning for about half an hour, and I've enjoyed it so far. But what's kind of funny is, just in the vein of taking action and taking rapid action, most mornings I wake up. In a perfect world, I would have prepped for the show the night before. That almost never happens. I might have a couple things saved that I'd like to talk about, but almost every day during the week I wake up and nothing's prepared, and so I have to scramble and prepare something in the morning, which, it's funny, I both don't like it, but I also really like it when I pull it off. And I think the quality of these is, hopefully you found it interesting, and I don't know, maybe there might be more interesting versions of this show that are possible. That's possible. All I know is that I'm enjoying the process of going from no idea to putting stuff together to executing the show, all in a span of about an hour. I like that rapid iteration process, and because my default is, it's where I hang my hat and who I help is overthinkers, but that's also true for me. I tend to overthink. I tend to plan. I tend to do all that stuff that is comfortable and easy, where the reality is the most gain is experienced when you take rapid action. You prepare the minimum amount you could possibly prepare, Ideally, there's some kind of time crunch where you just don't have the time. Because I won't even allow myself to be a minute or two late on the live stream. Like for me, 8:30 Central. Like 8:30 Central, we go live every single time. I start to play the jingle, and then I'm locked in. And so, as an exercise of doing something rapidly and then pushing the go live button, it's been a good experiment, and I think it's been good for me to flex those muscles and build those skills. And so, other than that, that's today's show. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to hit me up at the Jeff Callahan on the socials, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have on a future live stream. And I'll at least be doing this live stream till the end of April, and then we'll reevaluate at that time and see if I want to keep the party train going. I think you know what's coming next. It's the jingle that is sweeping the nation, certainly sweeping your brain, where you're humming it as you're doing dishes, when you're driving your car, or at a quiet, somber moment when you should be saying nothing. Instead, you're humming along to the Confidence Maxxing jingle. Stop overthinking, start connecting. Confidence Maxxing. And I will see you tomorrow.
If your mind's running circles again, second guessing every word you said, take a breath, reset your track. You don't need to